What is going on? Hopefully, you are having a very lovely Sabbath Saturday and worshiping on the weekend. Talking with the Father and the Son. Spend some time with your family, prayer, all that. Hopefully, you're having a good day. Didn't really have a whole lot kind of planned to kind of talk about today, so I kind of just want to go through. I'm going to not do the live stream. I'll just make a video and put it out on the Sabbath day. I'll probably record it usually Saturday morning and put it out whenever I'm done with it. Just to make it a little bit easier on myself. But it probably won't be any structural change. It's not really a big deal for any of you guys, I guess. So, for those that have been stopping by the live stream, appreciate it. But I just want you to know that will change. But as far as today, really, I'm just going to talk about the mind. That's going to be about the only thing I really kind of want to get across. And then I'm going to start breaking down some things going forward over the next few weeks about the Bible. And yeah, we'll get into that over the next few weeks. Just kind of peel back some layers, make you think. And that's kind of the reason why I'm going to lead off with this today is about the mind. Many people don't realize that the mind is very important. It's not just what you're focused on, but it's also, what you believe. There's so many verses that talk about the mind, and really a lot of it is keeping your mind on the Father and the Lord and stuff like that. And that's kind of the whole point is if your mind is on that, He will give you wisdom and knowledge. And there's plenty of verses that kind of say that. So I got some verses here. We'll kind of go through them and we'll kind of talk about them a little bit, and then that'll pretty much be it. So let's kind of run through these here a little bit. So this one's from Philippians 2, Philippians, second chapter, Philippians. Therefore, if there is any consolation in Christ, if any comfort of love, if any fellowship of the Spirit, if any affection and mercy, fulfill my joy by being like-minded, having the same love, being of one accord, of one mind. Let nothing be done through selfishness and through selfish ambition or conceit, but in lowliness of mind, let each esteem others better than himself. Let each of you look out not only for his own interests, but also for the interest of others. Okay, so definitely fulfill my joy by being like-minded, having the same love, and being of one accord and of one mind. This is one, because I know, and I've heard this many times in buildings that call themselves churches. We shouldn't talk about politics. And what you will see many times throughout Scripture is that is a false teaching, because you are to be of like mind. You're supposed to have of one mind. And if in the church there shouldn't be any division. It should be, is it following it, whatever the topic is, or debate is. There should be uniformity within your congregation. That's the whole point of many of these verses. They're going to be of like mind, be like-minded, right? So and there'll be other verses that I'll show you. This is a very common theme. Like this, it's not to me. You're not supposed to be divided off into all these different ideas and theologies and idiocracies, really. It's supposed to be of like mind. And it's not to say that if there isn't an issue, that it shouldn't be brought up. It should absolutely be brought up, but that also goes to politics. But Christians need to start to understand that many of the issues that we are facing in society politically are literally targeted, or they are meant to target Christianity. That is the whole point of them. Why is that? Because the demons in the Bible are trying to corrupt you. How do they corrupt you? They're trying to corrupt your society. Satan's going to give you all the freedom in the world. He's going to promise you everything, just like he did Jesus. Remember? Jesus was tested in the desert. And Satan said, I'll give you all this. Give you all this freedom. And Jesus said, no. So you got to remember that Satan will give you all the freedom you want. You gotta have that self-control to say, no. I'm going to do what the Father told me to do. If you're a woman, you're supposed to serve your man, your husband. If you're a man, you're supposed to serve the Lord. And that's the way it works. You're supposed to keep your kids at home until they get married, and then they go off and have their own families. That's the way it's supposed to work. Here's another one from Colossians 3. If you are raised with Christ, seek those things which are above, where Christ is, sitting at the right hand of God. Set your mind on the things above, not on the things on earth. For you died, and your life is hidden with Christ in God. When Christ, who is our life, appears, then you will also appear with him in glory. Now, the one I was really focused on here is this one. Set your mind on things above, not on the things on the earth. And this is very true. So many people get it's the weekend, and it's fall in the U.S. So it's football season, and that's an earthly thing, There's a reason why football has taken over the weekends, right? You got college on Saturday, you got pro on Sunday, you got pro on Monday night, you got pro on Thursday night, you got college on Friday night. And so it's like that's all earthly stuff. And there's a reason why that is all pushed. All that entertainment stuff is pushed for a reason. Entertainment itself mostly is satanic. You don't realize it, but the whole point of it is to get you to not focus on the things above, right? It's to focus on things on the earth. And so if that's where your mind is, things on the earth, instead of spending your Saturdays worshiping, researching, understanding, learning, then you're not focused. Then you're not on, your mind's not on the things above. So here's another one from Titus 2nd. We'll go from verse 6 to 8 here. Likewise, exhort the young men to be sober-minded in all things, showing yourself to be a pattern of good works, in doctrine showing integrity, reverence, incorruptibility, sound speech that cannot be condemned, that one who is an opponent may be ashamed, having nothing evil to say of you. The one I really was focusing on here, because there was something that happened over the past couple days. There was a lady, she was 18-year-old high schooler, or maybe just out of high school, where she was at a party and she got shot in the head by like a 27-year-old man. And I probably should have brought up that news, and I thought about it, but I don't want to do that. I can just tell you. Anyway, she was going through the hospital. A lot of people around, showing her respects, because she was an organ donor. So they were going to send her off to be an organ, to I guess, carve her up for organs. And this verse just rang out to me when I saw that, and I was definitely just going to add this. Sober-minded, stay away from the parties. Stay away from the parties. Anybody can tell you. Anybody can tell you there hasn't been one party they went to that they can ever say that party was the best thing that ever happened to me. Nobody will ever say that. You will hear that party was the worst thing that ever happened to me. Especially if alcohol's involved. There are very few times, and I'm not going to say that there's never a time where people, somebody will say that, you know, a party or something was the best thing that ever happened to somebody. I'm sure there's going to be like a story out there, but it is rare. It is rare. When you go to those parties, one of the things that obviously when alcohol is involved, you will come across people just lose control, and the more you're around it, the more you'll see it. And if you've ever been in a party and just not one to drink, and you're just kind of there to kind of hang out, chill, observe, but not drinking, you realize people lose control. And when you're in control and you see that, it is really bad. It just makes for a really dangerous scenario. And if you've ever been at parties and it's gotten dangerous, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But you should definitely, men, especially the young men, keep a sober mind. That is one of the biggest ways, you know, these demons, they try to corrupt you. They make you do something when you don't have control that they can come back later and use it against you. Kind of like blackmail. Actually, it's pretty much blackmail, yeah. So be very careful. Alcohol and, you know, being not of a sober mind, man, it leads to so many disastrous situations. There's many times, many people have learned valuable lessons when they've been inebriated, intoxicated, not of a sober mind, and, you know, they don't make good judgment. And would they have made the same decisions if they were sober? Probably not. Probably not. So stay sober and stay diligent is really, really kind of important. Okay. Go here to 1 Peter 5. I'll just read this one verse. Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, walks about like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. Very much just like kind of what we talked about there with Titus. The devil is going to use any and all means to get you to put your guard down. And when you don't have a sober mind, your guard is way down. And so you can do some really horrible things, and the devil will be there. The devil will be there. You don't see the devil, but the devil's there. The devil's there just making things happen. You definitely need to be sober and vigilant. As a Christian, you need to be sober and vigilant. This world is about corrupting those that believe in Jesus Christ. I mean, that's most of everything that I've seen is all about corrupting what Christians believe. Period. So just know the devil is out there. He is out there. Okay? So make sure you be sober, be vigilant, and just keep a sharp mind. Read here the beginning of Romans 12. Okay? I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable to God, which is your reasonable service, and do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. Really wanted to focus on this second verse here. Do not be conformed to this world, the earthly things that we talked about earlier. Do not worry about earthly things, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind and focus on the above. All this is really to kind of set some groundwork as we go forward next several weeks, but you have to be very diligent. The Bible itself, I'll say this. I was maybe thinking about saying this next week or something, but I'll say it now. So the Bible itself is to be taken as laying a groundwork to understanding. Okay, the earlier parts of the Bible, it's an entire history, but there's a lot of conceptual things as you read through the Bible that you need to understand conceptually. It sets that groundwork. And towards the end of the Bible, Revelation, you will then be able to understand those things in Revelation because of the concepts that have been established before. There's many puzzles and riddles and questions and different things like that in the Bible. And they're structured that very specific way, because if you just said exactly what it meant, well, the demons would come and destroy it. So you have to structure it with a code, and you have to be diligent mentally to be able to understand it. And that's kind of the point of why I wanted to talk about your mind. If you don't have a sharp mind, you can't solve these things. You will not find Jesus, and you will not find true salvation. And that's the point. And I'm going to try and break some of that down here going forward, but over the next several weeks. But that is crucial. You need to really kind of understand, that it is not going to be something, if you've never read the Bible before, if you're going through the Bible your first time, it is not going to be something you're going to understand perfectly the first time through. You will not. I promise you. And I understood it pretty good my first time through because I kind of came across the demons before and I saw what they believe. And so I was able to understand quite a bit, but there are still many things that you're just, even the first time through, you're not going to be able to understand them completely. And once you get all the way through it, and then you read Revelation, and then it's like, oh, let me reread that. and it kind of gets that way. No, there's going to be parts in the Bible where it's like very repetitive, like numbers, and you're talking about the census stuff. Read through that once, right? Read through it once. Make sure you know what's like there, how it's said. But there's many times, like probably going forward, you probably definitely skim that stuff pretty good, but just kind of gloss over it. But you need to keep a very diligent mind, because much of the earthly things here on this world are to deceive you and get you off course. One of the questions I've had over the past 15 or so years, this is a question I had. And remember, I grew up 22, 3-ish years or so, 20-ish years, going to a Church of Christ. And that is a very deceptive name on a building. I can promise you that. You'd think, okay, Church of Christ, they did not follow much of the gospel. I can promise you that. But after going there for 2 decades, and I left, and just understanding history, just understanding high level history where our people worshiped the Bible. Not worship the Bible, but used that as the framework for understanding how to worship and the history of our people and stuff like that. So when you understand that was basically the foundational document for our people and the faith in Christianity and Jesus Christ and the Father, that was about 1900 years, right? And I get it; it wasn't fully canonized, but all the documentation was basically out there around 100 AD. Like, it was all basically out there. And then you get to a little bit after 1900, and it's all of a sudden some of it, like, we just start to stray away from that. And it's like, how did God not know about dinosaurs? Why did he not mention dinosaurs and stuff like that? Well, where do you hear from dinosaurs from? That's an interesting one. Anything, I will tell you right now, anything, I've looked into basically all of it. Anything that contradicts the Bible is meant to. It is meant to. For that very reason, to get you off course. They don't try to corrupt Islam. Nope. Islam is literally a puppet, and they are trying to corrupt and convert Christians. Yeah. So Islam's not real. That's another fraud. Catholic Church, no, that's fraudulent. You can tell because when you meet someone and you say, "My name's Muhammad, I'm Islam," and then their response would be, I'm Michael, I'm Catholic. That's how you know you're not Christian. You're Catholic. I love that one. So there's many things, and it's all about keeping a sharp mind. All about keeping a sharp mind. If something out there contradicts the Bible, it is meant to. It is meant to get you off course. And that is the entire point of it. No questions about it. Anything contradicts the Bible, it is meant to corrupt you. And we send our kids to those places that are called schools, and they learn about all this corrupt bullshit. So the mind is very important, and you should not be subjugating your children, especially to schools. That's one of the main things I'd say all the time. Keep your kids out of schools. Keep your kids out of schools. They don't learn the corrupt bullshit. It'd be better if they sat at home for 18 years and didn't learn anything. Honestly, that would be better. That would be better. Rather than learning a fake world that's all literally meant to corrupt, but it's all literally meant to just get you off course. Disprove the Bible, because the Bible's the truth. So, have a great Sabbath day. I'm going to go to a party this evening. I have a cousin getting married, so we're having a party for him. Not that kind of a party, just like family get-together kind of stuff. So, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. So, hopefully you have a great Sabbath day. Talk to the Father. Appreciate the Son. Appreciate your family. Say your prayers. Talk to the Father. You should talk to the Father. I talk to the Father all the time. So, have a great Sabbath day. Amen.